Ladies and gentlemen, it is your friend, Mike Brady from Oceanliner Designs. Hello! Hello, hello! Oh, there's 700,000 of you in the chat already. So nice. Hello. How are we all? Orestes says, is it my friend Mike Brady? Of course! Drew, Mike is missing. He is not. He is not missing. Vague Eternal says, this is your first time watching a live stream. Well, welcome. I hope this lives up to expectation. It's lovely having you here. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, lovely to see you all. Bit of a different setting today, as you can see. We're currently on site at the sinking of the RMS Titanic. Trying something a little bit different. I often have problems with green screen. It's my mortal enemy. I don't know. Do any of you, here's a question, if any of you remember when you guys talking, it looks like I'm wearing lipstick. Oh, man. This always happens. I'm not. I promise I'm not. Do you guys remember when I did a live stream with Tom Linsky years ago now, 2 years ago probably, about the Empress of Ireland, and it was meant to be this serious, solemn event about the sinking of the ship, and then I ended up having all kinds of like technical problems, and there was music or like sound effects that were playing. I don't know if you guys remember this stuff. Hello, Lara's Flying Adventures. She's a new patron, has joined the channel. She says, Slantia. Good to see you. I hope that wasn't as loud for you as it was for me, but we just got our first super chat from longtime supporter of the channel, Catherine Ryan, who says, hi Mike, I'll be at work for this live stream, but I do hope you do a good book showcase for when I watch this back. I'll tip more later if you do. Thanks, friend. Have a good stream. Thank you, Catherine. There's a giant green screen behind me, and if I turn around to go to my bookcase, I will walk into it. I mean, no, I'm actually sitting in a mock lifeboat in front of this wonderful recreation of the Titanic sinking. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. I was actually just talking to my patrons about where their money goes and where like live stream super chats go to. And there's just a lot going on in the channel at the moment. So I do have some exciting announcements to make to you guys, to talk to you about. A lot of you are saying nice lipstick. This is funny. I promise I'm not wearing lipstick. It's this webcam. It just makes me look glamorous, I guess, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Dreloff says with the super chat, hey Mike, I have an idea. Could you create a video about the wreck of the Titanic and which areas have been explored and which haven't during dives? Yeah, I'm always surprised at how much of the ship hasn't been touched yet, because there were some areas that totally inaccessible, like of course the swimming pool, lower down. It'd be great to see some of the other boiler rooms and just see where things are at there. I don't know if they've ever got into boiler room 5 or 6. That would be interesting. I actually just overnight put out a video about the Titanic coal fire theory and what was going on in boiler room 5 and 6. And it's just interesting getting a lay of the land and seeing where coal was being taken from boiler room 5, the bunker forward, bunker W in boiler room 5. They basically drained it of coal totally. So on the night of the sinking, that thing was just filling up with water, and it must have been really straining. I think they had calculated it like 450 tons of seawater was pressing down on this plate steel from the bunker. So it's really, really interesting stuff. I'd love to get in there and have a look around. Some of the staterooms down on E and F deck, some of the third class spaces that'd be great to see a bit more of. So yeah, it would be really interesting to even map out on deck plans and say, hey, how much of Titanic has actually been looked at? You know, in the same way that Titanic Honor and Glory do their progress map, we could do like a real life progress map for Titanic exploration. Shatino says nice pink makeup. Is this going to be like the most enduring meme for the channel? I feel I'm getting a new webcam. You know what? I'm just going to get a new webcam, and then you guys will see my face in horrific detail, and you'll regret asking about it. Selena Lunaria is a channel member, has generously donated £20 and says, hello Mike, I love your video on Titanic's cooling system. It was honestly so interesting to learn how Titanic did not become absolutely freezing. Totally. You could say a video about the ventilation system was refreshing. I'm really on a pun roll at the moment. Did you? Hey, listen, you guys go watch my coal fire video. I end on my attempt at a pun that was not scripted. I'm fascinated by the machinery that they used on the Titanic. You know, I mean, this is the modern age, but it was a while ago now. And just having these massive thermotanks, which were the devices that are used to heat air, it is funny to me that third class just got a constant stream of hot air blasted at them, not unlike my audience. I think it was like 27 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry, you Americans will have to do the conversion for me there. And it was just constant. Whereas in first class, it was not as hot. It was heated through the boiler uptakes, and it was just a little more comfortable. I would have thought that first class would get more hot air, but no, it was steerage. Really glad you enjoyed the video. I've always been interested in vents and things, so I enjoyed making it. Superfly brother MJ has joined the channel as a member. They have become a stoker. Welcome aboard. Good to have you here. Crazy Doctor Who has been a member for 7 months and now has the cool little cap icon, navigating hat icon, navigating officer's hat. Hey there, Mike. You look stunning as always, mate. I put my makeup on right this morning then. Brilliant. Speaking of Titanic Honor and Glory, tuned into their live sinking, animation is stunning. Now, I've got a lot to say about this because it is directly linked to what you were talking about. I will get into that in a minute. Andy is back, says, is that tea or coffee? Anybody who watches my channel knows it's coffee. I'm fueled on coffee. Ships have coal and fuel oil. I have caffeine. Arabica beans. The animation was superb. So on the night of on Titanic night, and everyone was saying, "Why don't you do a stream?" You know, I'm not going to throw my hat in the ring. You have two big live streams going at the same time. I had them both on at the same time. So I had one stream showing Titanic Honor and Glory, one stream showing HFX with Tom and Levi and Ken Marshall, Kent Leighton, Tad Fitch, Bill Wormstead, George Behe, Alex Miller. I think I got it wrong. Yeah, pretty good off the top of my head. And then obviously on THG, they had the devs behind the game, and Matt and Kyle, and I think James popped in. The animation of Titanic Honor and Glory was superb. It was done by a very talented young gentleman about whom I will be speaking soon, because his work is now linked a little bit to Oceanliner Designs, and I've got some exciting things to show you. But he's a very, very talented animator. I think he's watching this right now, but I'm going to make you wait a little bit longer before we really talk about. I don't want to lose a viewer. I don't want you to see this, Jack, and then just stop watching. So. Just kidding. Yeah, he's brilliant. The animations are spectacular. If you haven't already actually watched the Titanic Honor and Glory real live sinking animation, they've put it up as a standalone thing. There are interior shots, so some of the footage of like the Grand Staircase flooding. I actually got chills. I was kind of like having a look through it the first time I got to see it, and I landed randomly on a shot looking down the well of the Grand Staircase, and down on E deck you can see water, like green seawater, and you can just hear strains of Alexander's Ragtime Band. And there was another shot in a corridor where there were bags just leaning up against the wall, like baggage. And it's a abandoned hallway, and you just hear the ship kind of creaking a little bit. It's just creepy, It's quite surreal. There must have been a lot of surreal sights that night, a lot of really unusual things, because of course the ship was never intended to sink. So just a lot of the way the things would have interacted, that well in the Grand Staircase, for example, it would have been a beautiful feature. It would have been lovely to open up the ship and get light down there, and it would have been great. You can imagine kids kind of standing over the railing, staring right down at E deck, and then in the context of the sinking, it becomes this horrifying reminder of there's not much time left. So I think they did a spectacular job. Good point. Thank you, Crazy Doctor Who. Matty, 1879, has joined the channel as a swabby. Welcome aboard, my friend. Good to have you here. Enderman Rule has super chatted. Says, should I read Commodore or Tramps and Ladies? Also, should I get channel member or Patreon? Good questions, both. I've actually got both of them next to me here. I've got Commodore, Catherine Ryan wanted a book recommendation, but this one was sitting next to me, so I don't have to trek behind me, which I feel like they'll be disappointed about. But this is a really good book. If you are really interested in the era before the Queen Mary, essentially, I'd say, like, if you're interested in pre-1930s Oceanliner history, Tramps and Ladies is fascinating. It will give you a ton of context for what it was like to be on these steamships at the turn of the century. So from 1900 to about 1920, how they navigated them, what it was like to be on board, and to be on a 14,000 ton steamship. So bearing in mind, Titanic was 45,000 tons, gross registered tons. Queen Mary was about 80 something, 83 was it? Standing on a 14 or 15,000 ton steamer in 1901 and being on what would have then been considered the largest ship in the world, just about, but still having the water coming up over the decks and having to like shut every door at nighttime in a storm, the coal dust getting everywhere, the little things, like we get really technical. I love nerding out about how they refueled the Titanic and how they refueled these ships, and from a technical standpoint. But then Bissett is talking about when they were refueling or coaling these ships in, he's overseeing loading of coal in like 1907. And he had to work on it like 48 hours straight. And the coal dust just goes everywhere. And so he's talking about how the stewards and all the staff hated it because they had to go in and cover all the furniture in the passenger spaces with tarpaulins, because it didn't matter how careful you were when you were coaling a ship, the dust was so fine that it would go all through the passenger accommodations. They were just constantly having to clean. And so when they changed to oil, it just would have been revolutionary. So you can read about this stuff on Wikipedia or, in a very dry fashion. It's like, yeah, coaling was a difficult process, and then they converted to oil burning. But hearing it from a guy who was there, who's saying things like just little anecdotes, a lot of things made me laugh. I'd definitely start with Tramps and Ladies and then move on to Commodore, because it really sets up this guy who was like a third officer or fourth officer on Carpathia, 14,000 ton ship, becoming the commander of an 80,000 ton superliner during the Second World War. It's like he goes from being like I'm an airplane guy as well, he goes from like the Wright Flyer to the space shuttle in the course of his career, just remarkable stuff. So yeah, definitely start with Tramps and Ladies. Do recommend it. And then should you get channel member or a Patreon? Depends what you like. Patreon is a really good platform, and it kind of gives me a little bit more flexibility to engage with people. I'm building out a part of my website, which is going to be like a little member hub. So you'll have your own login and you'll be able to see things and engage. So do whatever you like. I think YouTube is good because you'll get notifications through YouTube. You don't have to go off to another platform. But do whichever you like. If you do join, it'd be good to have you. Caleb Rimmer says, it's sad to see that the Titanic had to go this way. Yeah, I miss this girl, but no one hurts more than the Olympic. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. For all the horror and disaster, the Titanic is still here. Ironically, it is visitable, but it is at the bottom of the ocean. Whereas the Olympic is now razor blades. Somebody very generously sent me a massive chunk of Olympics deckwood, which is, if you're watching this, Calvin, good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Yeah, Cal sent me a huge piece of Olympic, which was very, very lovely. It's amazing how thick those deck planks are as well. They're like this thick. Imagine on the night of the sinking, when Titanic was breaking in half. In the movie, they used the sound of a gunshot, like a generic pistol gunshot. Those timber planks are that thick. I've heard people say, why do they use a gunshot? That's stupid. But those things snapping in half would have sounded like rifle cracks, if you're close up. I mean, it's remarkable stuff. So yeah, I agree. It is sad. I wish they kept Olympic. We always talk about this. But when I do my alternate history, what if Olympic wasn't scrapped video, I'm still going to sink her. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not. The Royal Air Force is, but that's a long story. Stephen Hemingway says, can the face be worse than we see now? Yes, it could be in high definition. I got 2 hours of sleep last night. That's why I'm wearing my glasses. I'll be honest. You know what? You guys have been supporting me long enough. I'll be honest. I'm wearing my glasses so that you don't have to see the black bags under my eyelids. Seriously though, regarding I'm glad you were serious. Thank you. Regarding lifeboats, have you thought about doing a piece on the design and usefulness of the extra boats fitted to the other liners? Yeah, I mean, it was a knee-jerk reaction. I assume you're talking about like after Titanic sank, the Lusitania, the Mauretania had all these boats fitted. The practicality of that does raise a few questions. I think for that, all that, knee-jerk stuff, and, there was a mutiny on board Olympic, so this is a fairly famous tale, but just after Titanic sank in April and May 1912, the Olympic was obviously having to make a return voyage, and they didn't have time to get these big 30-foot boats on board. So what they did was load up these folding collapsible boats. I think they were called Berthon type boats. I may be thinking of something else, but they were funny. They folded in the middle. They closed up like a clamshell, and they must have seemed really rickety and not at all in good condition. Like they just fished them out of somewhere. So the crew actually mutinied. Like a huge portion of the crew went off the ship and refused to sail. So the White Star Line then had an issue and took Olympic and realized they had to do some pretty serious modifications in order to restore confidence. And what is the ultimate PR move? I have no idea how they did it, but they reintroduced it as the new Olympic, practically unsinkable, and then put it back into service and it became a smash hit. But it's just a fascinating story. I don't know how useful they would have been. It's a good idea for a video. The huge amounts. I always thought, if you just lined the decks of the officers' quarters and deck houses with collapsible, the Engelhardt collapsibles, then they would have been in really a good space. I think the Engelhardt collapsibles performed very well that night. When you think how collapsible C and D was so close to being crushed by funnels or just kind of like swept off the ship. Was it C and D or A? Oh no, A and B. Sorry, A and B. I think. Yeah, the ones that were almost like smashed to bits by the funnels could have been swamped. Like it's just unreal. So yeah, I think more collapsibles, less giant lifeboats. We got a million super chats. I gotta get through all these. Who have we got here? Selena says, real question, do you have a PO box where people can send gifts without revealing your personal address? Privacy is key. Yes, I do. I don't encourage gift sending, but I certainly don't mind it. Speaking of which, if Alex, aka Alexius, is watching, I'm going to say thank you for this. Alex is a long-time patron and supporter of the channel. And Alex sent me this spectacular die-cast model of the Queen Mary. I don't know if you can see, like, it is extremely detailed, given its size. And I love it. Now I've got it here on my desk, basically like presiding over James Bissett's book, which is like a very nice combination. But yeah, I do. I'll put it up somewhere. I mean, I don't... yeah, like I said, I don't encourage the sending of gifts, but if you do want to send something, I'd be more than happy to receive it and then open it for you maybe on stream. Drilloffs says, oh, we had one from you earlier, Drill. It's good to see you again. Thanks. One more question. In the movie, the stokers also pull on rings hanging from the ceilings after closing the boilers. What are they for? Yeah, you know what? I was actually thinking about this the other day. I meant to read about that. I meant to research it and include it in my video and completely forgot to. They seem to lead to the smoke boxes. So I assume it's something around opening like maybe like full like opening up the flue so that everything's going out the smokestack. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll have a look for the next stream. And if anyone actually already knows, you see they like shut the dampers when they're told to shut all the dampers. They slam them shut and then pull on these like ring things hanging down from the ceiling. So that was a really good question. I've always wondered about that, and then I actually forgot to read about it. And so you've caught me out on that one. The Holy Capybara Cult. The Holy Capybara Cult has sent $1.03. Thank you so much. I love your name. That's excellent. Holy Capybara Cult. That's excellent. The official Roblox Titanic movie says your art is really good. It's stunning to look at. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate that. I haven't done a lot on the drawings, unfortunately. You know, it's a huge amount of time, and yeah, I'd love to do more of it, but unfortunately the video stuff is taking precedence. But I think I'll go back to it one day, which reminds me, I have to tell you guys about my exciting announcements shortly. Once I finish this this group of super chats off, I'll show you guys some really cool stuff. You're gonna love this. Alexis Spencer says, hello, you had recommended a few books to me a few months ago, and it meant so much to me that you took the time to give recommendations. I finally found The Liners and purchased it, so thank you. Yes, The Liners is the most generically titled Oceanliner book. Was that the one by, what's his name? Is it like Terry Coleman or something? It's really funny. Like, the guy has written it with a great sense of humor in the 70s. Some of it hasn't aged well, but cracks me up. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Try and get your hands on Tramps and Ladies by James Bissett in the near future. J Killen03 says, hey Mike, out of anyone on board Titanic who died, who do you think would have been the most how I all had the most interesting or beneficial testimony if they survived instead? It's hard to argue with Thomas Andrews because he walked the ship and saw the damage. Seeing Smith survive, Captain Smith, and getting his testimony on why he made some of the choices that he did, I think it's kind of funny. I mean, Smith has almost got away with it for being like he's a very what am I trying to say here? Sympathetic character, you know what I mean? Captain Smith, you really feel for him, but some of the choices are almost inexcusable. I mean, when you're reading James Bissett's account, he talks about the night he was on Carpathia rushing to Titanic's rescue, right? And Arthur Rostron, who did not have as much experience or as much time at sea, he was a very pious, very cautious captain, but he didn't have the years of experience that Smith had. He was experienced, but he didn't have the years of experience. He had men at the forecastle because he figured that on a moonless night, at the very bow of the ship, lower than the crow's nest. So you're not looking down at the horizon, which means that dark objects without a moon shining on them, like icebergs, will be popping up above the horizon sooner than if you're on the bridge or the crow's nest. And it was kind of like standard practice. He put guys up in the forecastle, the head of eyes, and they keep an eye out from there. Smith didn't do that on Titanic. It was a clear night, which may have lulled them into a false sense of security. But if they knew there was an ice field nearby, and I would be very interested to ask why you didn't feel like you needed to slow down, why you didn't divert further south away from the ice field, why you didn't have men posted up in the forecastle, because we're talking seconds here, right? So men on the forecastle could have seen the berg even 30 seconds before Titanic hit, and she may have cleared it. I mean, that may have made a difference. So yeah, just a few things I would be interested to follow up on over a beer. Good question. Superfly Brother MJ, hello, says first super chat ever. Oh wow, well, here you go. Thank you, I'm touched. I simply got to ask you, do you own any model kits of any liners? I recently bought an Airfix Mauritania for only £17. Pretty good. What have I got? I've got a big trumpeter model of the USS Arizona. That's pretty cool. I'm more like I love warships. I don't have, I'd love to do it. I just don't have the time. I wish I had the time. I'd make more. If I was going to make anything, I actually would love to take the trumpeter Titanic, the big 1/200 scale model, and turn it into the Olympic in the 30s, or like late 20s, and do that for fun. Maybe one day, when I retire. All right, we're getting through these. We're making good progress. Thanks so much for sending these through, guys. These are great. I'll show you what I've been, or what I will be spending these on in a minute. Yes has sent $5 and says, can you do a what if the Olympic class never sank video? Yeah, I've often wondered about this as well. I still think Cunard had a lot of sway, very close working relationship with the British Admiralty. I feel like that would have always got them out of trouble. Whereas if, say, for example, the White Star Line, it didn't have as close a working relationship with the Admiralty. The Cunard Line's secret weapon was not a ship; it was Percy Bates, the chairman. It was a brilliant wheeler and dealer, and I think White Star Line being part of the American conglomerate, International Mercantile Marine, maybe the British government wasn't as keen on, they were maybe like keeping them a little bit at arm's length, and a very close working relationship with Cunard. So when the companies are in trouble, who are they going to help? Even if Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic were serving alongside each other, making revenue. After the First World War, they still had a massive year, and then as soon as they got Majestic and Homeric, I mean, those two alone made up for the loss of Titanic and Britannic. Homeric not so much, but as far as numbers, it'd be interesting. Maybe one day, yeah, we could cover that topic in more detail. Who have we got here? We've got I'm probably going to say this wrong. I'm really sorry. Vinicius1898 says, "Hola, greetings from Brazil. Love your Titanic videos. Lego Titanic or Trumpeter 1200 Titanic? One has to go and you got to choose. Oh, one has to go. Oh, don't make me do that. I don't want to kill a beloved product." Oh, which one? I don't know. The Trumpeter 1200 is so detailed, but it takes so damn long. The Lego Titanic. I'm going to kill the Lego Titanic in the hopes that they make a slightly more accurate one. It's accurate. It's still good, but it would be nice to see, I don't know, just like the bow shape wasn't exactly right. You know what I mean? Just because I'm a purist. I don't know. If you had to make me choose, you could put a gun to my head here. Like I like the Lego Titanic. Don't get me wrong. Hashtag please sponsor me, Lego. The Holy Capybara Cult has sent through another $1. Thank you, my friend. We do love our capybaras down here in Australia. Phony Gamer 1234 has said, "Love your channel. Awesome content. Always introducing me to new Oceanliner stories and keep me interested in Titanic." Thank you. I'm really glad you like it. We'll be doing more obscure and interesting Oceanliner stories. We got 2 or 3 minutes until I've planned on showing you some cool stuff. So I'll go into this in a sec. Brady Cloud, who has a very similar name to mine, my last name at least, just got done watching your latest video. I was very stoked about it. Keep up the great work, Mike. That was a good one. Not bad. Leave the puns to me, all right? Huh? No, that was good. I like that. I was very stoked about it. Love it. The Holy Capybara Cult just sent through $20. Thank you. Very kind. And another $5. You're just draining your bank account. Is the Titanic sinking in the background? It's meant to be. It's kind of just sitting there. I haven't animated it. This isn't a real time. This is actually just a looped animation that I made last night as a spur of the moment thing. I wanted the stream to look a little different. This is in theory supposed to be like a special Titanic themed stream, but it just so happened to fall on Titanic week, or just after Titanic week. So I thought we'll make it relevant. Quint1836 says, "Love the channel." Thank you so much, Quint. Good to have you here. Really appreciate it. I think that was your first super chat here as well, so really, really appreciate that. Morticalis, who is a channel member, says, should there ever be a true Titanic 2? Yeah, I think doing it tastefully and having it be a vessel that is a passenger ship that also maybe gives proceeds away to seamen's missions, or maybe training people in seamanship and safety would be really good. I'd love to see a small liner cut down on the amount of maybe the amount of passengers, have third class kind of kept as for parts of third class more as like a museum than anything. Could be done. There are small excursion steamers excursion steamers. Wow. Not what I meant. I just used a like 19th century term for the thing I'm actually talking about, which is like small expedition cruise ships. Sometimes like history and my real world. I just got off the Queen Mary 2. I don't know if I told you guys this. I went for a cruise on the Queen Mary 2 for 2 weeks. And the Britannia restaurant, every day I was like, "Oh, I'll meet you in the dining saloon." it's the Britannia restaurant. I just couldn't. I kept saying dining saloon. It was so embarrassing. Yeah, there are small expedition cruise ships that Titanic could kind of fill that niche. The Titanic II. I would rather it be called like Olympic or Oceanic or something. Maybe not Titanic, but you know, it's the Titanic. The Clive Palmer concept looked really good. I just think people are going to be really disappointed. You know, there's the whole thing called Paris syndrome, where people go to Paris, France, and then they're disappointed that it's not what they expected. I kind of get the feeling the Titanic might be like that. You know, it was big. I don't think it was as big or sumptuous as people expect. You know, back then, it was sumptuous. Don't get me wrong, especially in first class. The reading and writing room is gorgeous, and the lounge. But I think people expect it to be. We have activities all the time. You know, like you go on a cruise ship. They're literally like. There's a race car, like a racing kart track on a cruise ship. Back then, people just kind of read and walked around and drank tea. It was a different time. I think people would be a bit bored. But I'd love to go on it. So, someone, please, if there are any billionaires watching, please just make it happen. Ragdoll Ralph says, with a super chat, thank you. What is the biggest misinformation from the movie? Murdoch, probably taking his own life is not only like completely presumptuous and conjecture, but also this is a real person, and they've kind of made him look like not only a real person, but a hero of the night, a guy who, to the end, from what we can see, like when the water was up around his knees, was trying to get as many people off the ship as possible. And whereas Lighthauler, in charge of loading boats on the port side, was more interested in maintaining discipline and strict order and only allowing women and children away, Murdoch, whether it be because he was a humanist or he felt guilt for his, you know, if he had played any role in striking the iceberg, was just loading those boats full of as many people as he could and getting them off the ship. And then in the film, he initially kind of accepts a bribe, and then towards the end that happens. And you know, there is evidence that something like that happened. Someone heard a gunshot or saw an officer die because of that. But we don't know who it is. There's a whole chapter about it in On a Sea of Glass. And I don't know, it just seemed like they did him dirty. There's, you know, it's just a sad end to that guy's story. And in the film, I don't know, why not kind of portray him as he was in his last moments, you know, like just doing his best to help these people, and instead of like focusing on what is quite a negative, sad end and may not have actually happened. You know, it's kind of, yeah, I don't know, I didn't like that, but there are other things kind of wrong with it, like two people hanging off the forecastle that we won't talk about, but you know what I mean. That one is not to get real with you guys, but you know what I mean. Jude Morrow says, post-collision, could anything have saved her? Interesting theories, putting life jackets in one room at the front. Lowering mattresses over the gunnels on ropes to plug the starboard gashes. Yeah, I had an argument with someone about this once. They said they could have used collision mats to stem the flooding, but you had like 300 odd feet of the Titanic's bow had her plates dented and was taking on water. 2 or 3 stories below the waterline. I just don't know how you could do it. I think the best thing they could have done, I mean, they did the best they could do. You know, it took them an hour just to basically figure out that they were sinking and get the boats away. But I think, you know, ripping up some stuff and trying to make things that could float would have been good, like trying to keep people out of the water as much as possible. But I just don't know what that would look like. It'd have to be a whole concerted effort into making rafts. And that's why I think more collapsible boats would have been great. You know, like if they wanted to put, you know, even like 4 or 5 more boats could have saved. How many was that? They could take, the collapsibles took 40 people when full. So that's a lot of people. And it would have been easy. Anyway, no, I don't think post-collision they could have done anything. People said sailing backwards could create negative pressure or something. I just don't see it. Good question, though. I like the idea of filling up the forward end with life jackets. in the hope that it would stay afloat. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. I like it. Madam Ghosty with $10 says, loved your video about Jack Phillips and the wireless system. So thankful he fixed the ship's machine before the disaster. I feel very close to him, as he was the same age as me when he died. What a lad. Yeah, totally agree. And then when I was a kid, researching the Titanic, or like reading about the Titanic, I was like 5 or 6, you know, they seem so old, you know, like, wow, I'll be 24 one day. So funny. I'm always shocked by how young everybody was. Thomas Andrews was 33, I think, around 33. I mean, that's wild. You know, these people were so young. And then, you know, Bride and Phillips, I think Phillips was what, 24? Just kind of giving their lives away to help. It reminds me of wartime, you know, people, like I think the highest rated German fighter race of all time, Erich Hartmann, he had, I'd say like 200 or 300 confirmed aerial victories by the time he was like 24. It's like 300 aircraft that he'd shot down. It's crazy. What was I doing when I was 24? Sitting at the computer putting rivets on the side of a Titanic drawing. Still good, but not, you know, not that impressive. Potato Anna with $5 Canadian. Hello. First time catching you live. Huge fan of the channel. Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you, Potato Anna, as a Irishman, born in Australia, but my granddad was Irish. I do like potatoes, so I appreciate your name. Thank you. The Holy Capybara cult is drip feeding us money. $5 Australian. I assume they are enjoying the content and just kind of like tipping all the way through. I appreciate it. Thank you. Dumbest Reviews has sent $1. Thank you very much. The Holy Capybara cult, another $2. Endy Arts. Endy, good to see you. Titanic moment, Mike, you got to join the Minecraft server and tour the Titanic sometime. Back out and join Sticky Fiber. I'm making good progress. Very good. These are the guys whose Minecraft Queen Mary I reviewed a little while ago. Very impressive work. Would love to go and see it. I've got another channel, the Mike Brady channel. It's named after me. I'll see what we can organize. Maybe put it up there. Catherine Ryan says, shame about the green screen, but could always show me a book after stream. Yes, I can't get out of this. Sorry. They're locked behind a green wall. Okay, we'll go through a couple more because, you know, I'm scared that if I don't catch up with the super chats that I'm not gonna see him. I just saw Sam from Historic Travels has left the super chat as well. So hello, Sam. I'm gonna get to yours in a sec. Lara's Flying Adventures with £5 says, I'll be doing a MSc in Maritime Forensics because of this channel. Because of this channel? What do you mean because of this channel? That's awesome. Thanks for bringing Titanic back to me, Mike. Wow. I hope I said that right. MSc. I'm not sure. Maritime Forensics? Gee, you'll be more qualified to talk about this stuff than I will. You'll be correcting my videos before you know it. Good luck. That's very, very exciting. Very cool. Historic Travels. Gee, that name rings a bell. Where do I know Historic Travels from? Let me think. I think I know that guy. Do you have a green screen behind you? No, Sam, actually, you know the couple $1 billion we were going to use to build that ship together? I'd actually just built a replica of the Titanic and put it in a pond in my backyard. So I'm just kind of like chilling out the front there. How do you have that cool animation running behind you? Good to see you live. Yes, I animated this last night on a spur of the moment thing when I was making my Titanic video. Good to see you live. Bullship match soon. Yeah, the quiz show, the Titanic quiz show Bullship. I wanted to play this for a long time. I'm going to be the host. I'm going to pit you against somebody else, Sam. I don't want to get involved. I just want to host it. I don't want people realizing how limited my actual knowledge is. Good to see you, Sam. Dumbest Reviews says, if you had to pick one Olympic class liner, which one? Ooh, a Britannic, as she was intended. After the war, Britannic in like 1914 would have, sorry, after the war. I said after the war, not 1914. In like 1919, 1920. In that season, she would have been the most spectacular ship alongside the Majestic, but, you know, the most spectacular British-built ship afloat, I think. As well as the Aquitania, but I really just can't pick one, can I? I'm hopeless. RMS Seg1 fan says, "Hi Mike, love the new video. Thank you very much. What did you think of the Queen Mary 2? I sailed on her twice doing a transatlantic. Loved it." You know what? I'm going to come back to this because I got to show you guys what this thing that I've got here, right? So I'm going to take that down because I do have a lot of thoughts on the Queen Mary 2, and it was an awesome trip. I'm really jealous you've done a transatlantic voyage. I would love to do a transatlantic voyage. I will be doing one soon. I've got some more super chats. I'm just going to jot these down real quick so that I can come back to them in a minute. James Sickard has sent through $2. Thank you very much. I'm going to flick over now and show you guys some stuff. So some of you have been talking about the Titanic Honor and Glory real-time sinking animation, which was really, really beautiful and very well executed. And the young man who has been working on these with Titanic Honor and Glory is a friend of mine. He's actually a supporter of the channel, so he's an old patron. And he's a brilliant animator. And my plan for this channel was always to do, a lot of like cinematic videos, but they are a huge amount of effort. And basically since the channel started, it's just been me doing everything. So, that's like finding the topics and figuring out what I'm doing, writing the scripts, checking them, making them palatable so it's not just facts and dates and things. Then actually going out and filming and then animating. And animating is the killer here because that's its own like whole job, right? So if you have ever done any animation, basically you're telling the computer where you want the ship to be at all times, what you want it to be doing. Every camera move has to be carefully keyed in if you want to add people. Like a 5-second shot, a single 5-second shot could take like a week to set up, basically, like downloading the models, setting them up, building a digital environment for them to sit in. Well, I don't even know how to put this, but Jack basically will be joining the team Oceanliner Designs as my in-house animator, and we're going to be working really closely on animating all these really awesome stories that I've wanted to tell for a long time. Now, you may have noticed the other day, I put up a picture saying, "Hey, who can guess what this ship is?" A lot of you did. A lot of you got it first off. But these are Jack's animations. So this is a model by Lucas Gustafsson, who's a friend of mine as well, a brilliant 3D modeler. He can just make these ships look so, so good. And then Jack is animating this. The water looks real. This is the standard of quality that you can expect from the channel moving on. It's amazing to think that, the channel started out with me just animating like 2D ships sailing across an ocean. I guess you got to start somewhere, but this is going to change everything. This is going to be such a great way to tell these stories the way I want to. The ship you're looking at the moment, as some of you guessed, is the Cunarder RMS Laconia. And Laconia was very, very tragically torpedoed and sunk during the Second World War. Very interesting story. This is going to be one of the first ones that we're covering together. But if the things go the way we're planning on going, we'll be doing a lot of very interesting ship stories that you may not have heard of, that haven't been covered, and most excitingly, probably haven't been visualized before. You can read about them in history books, but actually seeing it happen. Until recently, I'm quite proud of the fact that the Laconia with a K, the cruise ship that caught on fire, had never been animated. There was no visualization for that. You could read about it, but what did it look like, unless you were there? And so animating that was really fulfilling because I, as a history nerd, got to sit back and see it. You know what I mean? So that will be great. I think all these stories that you've read about, the Wilhelm Gustloff will be covering, and animating like this and having it look as real as we can get in beautiful, like 4K quality will be great. And then, I'll have a team helping me out. It's going to be great. So I think the channel will be picking up steam, pun intended, and making some really nice content. I'm going to leave these playing in the background. I'm just going to like, oh, didn't want to move that. I'm going to move me and just blow myself up a little bit here, so I can continue to answer your questions. But Jack, I think Jack's watching this right now. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but well done. This is super exciting. Jack's just been putting these together because he's so enthusiastic to work on it. Yeah, go and check out the Titanic real-time syncing. I think that's like a great demonstration of his capability. But these are gorgeous. I'm very excited to get to work on these. I've been wanting to tell you guys this for ages. Cool, huh? I'm gonna leave those running in the background and go back to these super chats. You like them? I'm seeing some excited comments. Yeah. Yeah, Bella Titanic Tinker says another great channel, Part-Time Explorer. Yeah, you know, Tom at Part-Time Explorer is doing similar stuff. You know, he makes great maritime stories. He just did one about the Atlantic. So, you know, we're doing similar stuff. He does some different kinds of like, what do you call them? You know, like just we just do different things. I think he seems to have a focus on a lot of older ships, you know, 19th century ones. I'm quite happy playing in like 20th century and warships as well. That's a whole thing. I got a lot of warship stories planned. I'm really interested in warships. Someone just asked about one of the Japanese warships, the Takeo, which I'll get onto in a second. So there you go. Now, we've got super chats coming through. I'm going to backtrack and go through them. If I ever miss your super chat, I'm absolutely doing my best to keep up to date with them. So I'm really, really sorry. I will do my best. Seguin fan, going back to that original comment, what did you think of the Queen Mary 2? So good. I was so excited, I knocked my microphone. I was on board and I was reading James Bissett's memoir, and I won't go on about it. I'll tell you guys like a funny little anecdote. I was just on board. I was wondering like what would it be like, you know, back in the day sailing on a ship in 1907 and comparing it with Queen Mary 2. And while I was on the Queen Mary 2, it just shocked me how similar it seems. So I actually wrote a letter to the captain and gave it to the purser's office and basically just said, hey, in, you know, polite language, I was like, hey, thanks so much for having us. Your ship is magnificent. I've been reading this book, Tramps and Ladies by James Bissett. Here's a quote I thought you might enjoy. And it's basically James Bissett talking about passengers strolling the decks, and if they ever see an officer walking along, they will just run up to them and ask them a million questions. And he said, no officer is safe, basically. Every officer is fair game in the realm of like maritime knowledge and like the search for maritime knowledge. And the questions were hilarious. Like people in 1907, there was like one woman talking to a steward and saying something along the lines of like, why is the ship rolling so much? Is there something wrong with her? Is there anything we can do? I love it. So I said it to the captain, Andrew Hall. And I was lucky enough to meet him. And we had a little chat, and I think he got a bit of a chuckle out of it. Anyway, no. Look, if you're an Oceanliner nerd, if you can do it, sail Cunard. It's a magnificent experience. So it was very, very cool. Selena Lunaria said, "Hi Mike, I've got a few questions for you. One, what would have happened if Olympic sank on April 15th instead of her baby sister? And two, what would change if Thomas Andrews survived in place of Bruce Ismay?" Good questions. I do wonder if it would have had the same staying power. I think the part of the legend of Titanic is the fact that the ship was on its maiden voyage. So that to me is one of the various coincidences that makes it one of the greatest stories of all time, you know, regardless of if it's a ship story or not. So I think if Olympic sank, she'd been in service for a little while, it would have shaken the industry and there would have been design lessons learned, but I don't know that it would have had the same impact on pop culture further down the line. And I also think that the Titanic, it would have been funny just seeing Titanic mothballed while they, fixed that ship up and said, oh, we need to make this thing, more reliable. And so reintroduce that as the new Titanic, in 1913 for the, I don't know. It would have been a very interesting switch up. I just don't know that it would have had the same staying power. But maybe we would have seen Leo and Kate in the great James Cameron film, Olympic. Your second question there, what if Thomas Andrews survived in place of Bruce Ismay? Yeah, I think we would have got a little bit more insight into what happened as far as some of the damage. We've kind of pieced it together through the accounts, but I just feel like, well, and I also wonder about this. Ismay basically made it his personal life mission after that to get, I'll flick it back here. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm watching the animation. I can't stop. So I'm going to leave it on here. I'll show you guys more next time. Ismay made it his personal life's mission to get compensation back out to widows and families who'd lost loved ones, and basically worked on it the rest of his life. Andrews was a lovely guy by all accounts, so he would have been obviously personally impacted, but he didn't have he wasn't in the White Star Line. He didn't have the ability to like recompense people. You wonder if anyone else in the White Star Line would have picked up the mantle. So I wonder. I wonder if anyone would have seen to the fact that all the compensation was paid out. Enderman Rule says, Mike, what editing software do you use? I recently got a PC and was wondering what you use. Yeah, so this is kind of the thing that your support helps me out with. So previously, when I was making my videos, I was using a 6-7-year-old gaming laptop with a one screen, and like I'm a tall guy, all right. I'm a long boy. I'm 6'6", 6'5", and I was hunched over this thing like Nosferatu. And then because of my patron support and everything, I was able to go out and get a computer. It's rocking a GeForce RTX 3080, which is pretty good. It's basically I don't really play computer games. I sometimes play World of Warships when I'm rendering out a file when I was doing my own animation. What used to take me like an hour, this thing can do in like 14 minutes or less, So just the time saving factor, that does a lot when you are like me and you're finishing a video off for a deadline at 3 a.m. That's the difference between not going to sleep at all that night or kind of getting a few hours in and setting yourself up to work better the next day. It's just been a life changer. I've got 2 screens here. I can run a stream. Previously, I don't know if you guys remember, it used to stutter, and it's just changed everything. So my patrons, I gave them a cost breakdown and said, hey, a little bit of this is where the money has gone. It's going to pay for Jack's animations. This stuff, this is not volunteer work. Jack is so enthusiastic. I'm sure he would be willing to take a pay cut to do it. But you got to pay for good work. I mean, look at this. I can't stop looking at this. This is so embarrassing. Yeah. How nice is that? I got to turn it off because I'm just going to keep watching it. I literally just lost my train of thought because I was looking at how beautiful that shot is. So there you go. The support, the super chats, all goes towards directly benefiting the channel and making it look better. Christian Iverson says, hello, love your channel, learning a lot of interesting things. At work in Sweden, live in Norway. Best of luck. Oh, lovely to hear from you. I'd love to visit that side of the world, man. Norway, see the lights, and a lot of my friends have visited Norway and Sweden. I've got friends from Sweden. It sounds like the most beautiful place to visit. I've never seen snow in my entire life, so that would be a bit of a shock to the system. I'd love to see it though. Craig Peter with €5 says, hi Mike, is there an ocean liner that in your opinion had a remarkable career but never gets any recognition or credit? Love the channel and content. Thank you, mate. Yeah, so many. I mean, there's a lot. There is a lot. That just were like reliable ships that no one remembers. And they're basically all not transatlantic liners. So ocean liners operating out to Australia on the Far Eastern route. Some of them worked like 40 years, like the Multan. It was hilarious. It was built in the 20s. And it worked all the way, for all of these years. And I knew a guy It was built, I think, in 1919 at Harland and Wolff, right? And I think she had quadruple expansion steam engines. And I know a guy who worked on that ship. I knew the purser of the Multan. Just kind of did its job, survived the Second World War, no complaints, reliable, served all the way through and was scrapped. Her sister, Maloya. The Iberia, the Trusan, the Arcadia, the Himalaya, the Aronse, the Orsova, like whole fleets of ships that people don't really know much about that just had like 30-year careers and then got scrapped. All of them beautiful, all of them with their own character, all of them with unique, people on boards. One would have the best chef, or one would have a purser that everybody loved. Like they would have had their own like unique little environments on board. So I think, yeah, if I had to name one, like, I don't think I could name one in particular. Maybe the Multan, because I just brought it up. The Johan van Oldenbarneveld. There you go. I'll say the Johan van Oldenbarneveld. D with £5 says, can we arrange to model a head-on collision with the iceberg to see what would have happened after the discussion on the part-time explorer stream? I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I made a video about the Titanic head-on collision thing. People have started rubbishing the idea online by saying there would have been mass structural failure all the way down the ship. And I just disagree with that, because there are engineering papers that I cited in that video that people tend to not look at that state and conclusively prove that there is a direct correlation between the amount of steel used in the construction of a ship and how much impact a ship can absorb. So those are real layman's terms, right? But I'm a layman, and as someone said on the stream, we're not engineers. So totally fair play. So yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, this is my opinion. It's based on a couple things. Yes, we have the example of the Arizona and the Grampian. Two ships that collided with icebergs and hit the bow one. Was it the Arizona? Am I getting mixed up? Not the Arizona. Gee, sorry guys. It's been it was the Arizona, yeah. 2 hours of sleep. Yeah, the Arizona and the Grampian. Both smaller ships than the Titanic, both moving slower. And so people will point that out and say, they're smaller, they're not comparable. Titanic was bigger, there was a lot more force. But the engineering says that if there is more steel, like base raw material, simply put, if you have more steel, there is more material there to fail, and in failing, absorb the collision impact. So I think Tom, when we were talking about this over chat on the stream, brought up, he made the point where he disagreed with me, and he said, the Titanic was a bigger ship, but it had the same kinds of connections as the others, the same kinds of riveted brackets and beams and things. Yes, it did, but it had a hell of a lot more of them. And it's just the raw amounts of material that, as they fail, are actually taking force, out of the impact. There's a great photograph of this cruise ship, the Romanza, that rammed an island in like 1980 something. I feel like maybe like 92ish. I forget. Rammed an island. Now, at decent speed. Now, you would probably expect that to have broken, sent like open seams up along the hull or something. But it's literally like as if you took a paper mache thing and just kind of like smashed it into something. The bottom of the bow has just gone like that and telescoped. It's called telescoping. These ships, they look really big and solid, but steel is really, really flexible. It bends, it deforms, it can warp without losing a huge amount of its structural integrity. It can absorb a lot of damage. So I think people are maybe like doing Titanic a bit of disservice when they assume that, like, some of the most funny comments I've ever read on the internet are like, there would have been rivets popping all the way down the hull, the bottom would have fallen out, and it would have sunk in 2 minutes. It's just insane. It's never happened in the long history of ships bumping into things head on It's never happened. We have no examples of that, but we have a lot of examples of things that have hit objects bow on and telescoped up and survived. And it's all very well to say, yeah, well, they weren't as big as Titanic, but if the engineering is saying the more material involved in the construction of a ship, the more impact it can absorb, when you're going up in order of magnitude from the Arizona to the Titanic, it stands to reason that the Titanic could have tanked a lot more impact force and survived. So I still think that even at 18 to 20 knots into a stationary object, I still think if you're standing on the poop deck, it would have been just a slight jar. I don't see people saying people flying off and dying inside, and I was moving at 40 kilometers per hour, guys. Like, you know, if you're in your bunk, you might have knocked your head on the bulkhead if you were facing it. But anyway, food for thought. Potato Anna. Potato Anna. Well, I'm from a potato-loving island myself. Haha. Very good. Do you like our potatoes? ARP Takao says, my first super chat. Thank you very much. Good to have you. What is your opinion on the IJN Takeo? Yeah. Again, I don't know how many of you guys are like warship nerds, but I love them. I think Takeo was the lead of her class of Japanese heavy cruiser, the Takeo class, which included the Otago, I believe. The Japanese had the most beautiful warships of the Second World War. Nobody can change my mind on that. They were spectacular. I love the funnels are like raked at this crazy angle backwards. They just look so nice. So yeah, those heavy cruisers were scary as very scary looking. They're intimidating looking. So I love them. Yeah, very cool. Christian Iverson says, can't wait for the Wilhelm Gustloff. Yeah, me too. That one's going to be good. I'm excited for that one. It's a very interesting story. Someone just joined, but they're watching from an hour behind. When you get here in an hour, I hope you're doing okay. There's some of you guys talking about in the comments saying I thought it was made out of iron. It's really funny. The movie, like that one line when Thomas Andrews says she's made of iron, sir, I assure you she can sink and she will. It just sounds better than saying she's made of steel. You know, it's 2 syllables. It just sounds better. But for some reason, that comment has led people to believe the ship was made out of iron. All the rivets, even along the strength deck in the middle of the ship, were made out of steel. The hull plates were made out of steel. All of the beams, everything was made out of steel, but they used wrought iron rivets below the waterline and along parts of the hull. There was relatively little iron in Titanic's construction because by that point, you know, iron-hulled ships were heavier. They couldn't really go as fast. Just different metallurgical properties. Steel was like the way to go, you know. SS Normandy Enjoyer says, tied with Tom Linsky, best maritime history channel. I take that as an immense compliment. Thank you very much. Tom is a legend. I was a huge fan of Tom's when he was with, you know, Titanic Honor and Glory back in the day. I would never have thought that I would ever get to work with him on any projects and be counted as a equal channel. So that is a compliment. Do you think there was a culture of confidence and overconfidence and arrogance that caused the Titanic disaster? You know what? I was thinking about this the other day. That whole era of turn of the century, like put yourself in the scenario where 20 years earlier you would have been writing by candlelight a letter to your friends across the world that would get there in 2 months, a month. Flash forward, 20 years, and there are aeroplanes flying around, and you're sending telegraphs, and it's just remarkable the rate of technological development. And that's again why I recommend Tramps and Ladies. You really get this sense that looking at the Titanic and the jump from ships built in like the late 1800s, just before Titanic was built, where 10 years later they're building ships like as modern as the Titanic on the inside. It would have felt like a rocket ship. I mean, it just is remarkable that, and it's this weird time where at the same time, something like the Titanic is putting to sea, there are ships that are combination steam sail that are 30 years old, that some are iron hulled, you know, they're just like, they're from a different world. And Titanic being that big and that comfortable with that kind of safety record, learning so many lessons from disasters, I can almost excuse them for thinking that they genuinely thought that they had kind of like conquered all maritime disasters. I think they thought that they had accounted for everything. And I kind of almost see why they would have felt that. It would have been impossible not to stand on the bridge of that ship. It would have been impossible to stand on the bridge of that ship and not feel like a god. You know, Captain Smith must have stood there, stories above the ocean, soaring over every other ship that they went past. The Oceanic tied up at Southampton when Titanic's leaving, right? Almost gets pulled in to the ship because of her suction, right? Oceanic was just considered the world's largest ship. What, like 15 years earlier? And there's Titanic. Like, they would have been looking down, straight down at the Oceanic's boat deck. You know, it is a form of arrogance, but it's very easy. I mean, again, on the Queen Mary II, you know, no ship is unsinkable. And this Queen Mary II is a very, very safe, very modern ship, and it's hard to think of any situations that could arise that would sink her. But you do get a sense of invincibility standing on that thing because of the sheer size of it. It must have been exactly the same back then, and probably even more so because they'd done so much so quickly. You know, it's just a remarkable time and place. Selena just gifted 5 Oceanliner Designs memberships to people. Top impressive line. Vestibule's Crush, Elizabeth Rakowski, Jeff W, all of you, and Jason Dansome, all of you are now Oceanliner Designs members. Welcome aboard. First come, first serve. That was very, very generous of you, Selena. That's lovely. How good. Very good. Epic Trains Canada says, you're my favorite maritime and ship YouTuber. Also, I like your latest video on airships. Thank you. It was fun animating something that was flying. It was difficult, but the R101 is a very interesting airship. Greetings from Canada. Hello. I really want to go to Canada. Sounds like such a cool place. Paper Crown NI says, have you ever been to the Harlan Wolff shipyard? I have. I visited Thomas Andrews' house yesterday. It was very touching. If you ever come to Belfast, let me know. I'll gladly be your tour guide. I had the best time in Belfast. I absolutely loved it. I went there in 2018 and people were really lovely and really excited when they found out I came from Australia. It was kind of like, well, what are you doing over here? That's so far to fly. And then I was walking down towards the Thomas Engraving dock and they were filming like one of the last episodes of Game of Thrones across the way. So I saw all the main characters standing on top of a castle and it was just kind of surreal. It was like two of my interests combining. That was kind of funny. We are coming up on the end time for this stream, which is half past. We've still got 20 minutes. So if you want to charge your coffee cup, my coffee's gone a little bit cold, but who doesn't like an iced coffee? I'm gonna get through these super chats real quick, but appreciate your input, guys. This is really, really good. Alex, thanks, love your work. Thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying it. The reason I do it is you have to realize, 5 years ago, I was just an excited nerd. I'm still an excited nerd. It's just so funny to think that people enjoy the things that you do for fun. You know, it's lovely. So I always have the most fun doing these streams because I actually get to talk with you guys. Morticalis, who is a channel member, I think we talked about Morticalis a little earlier, says, your next vacation, oh yeah, California to visit Queen Mary, Pennsylvania for the United States, and across the Atlantic at Queen Mary II, and finally Bristol for the Great Britain. I was kind of thinking of doing that. But I was going to do it in reverse. So I want to do, I want to go to Britain, film the whole thing, and then sail across to New York, go up to, Philly. Is it Philadelphia? She's moored in Philly, right? See the United States. Go to Vegas to see the big piece, because I think it's at the Luxor Hotel or something. And then from the Titanic, and then go to the Queen Mary. Stay on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California. And then go and see the Lane Victory in San Pedro, which is just a short hop from Long Beach. If you live in America, you're on the West Coast, and you haven't been to see the Lane Victory, what are you doing? Go over and see it. That was the ship used in the movie Titanic to represent the wake. There's a shot of them sailing away from the coast. You see a ship's wake. It was the Lane Victory. I think the Lane Victory was in Flags of Our Fathers, a bunch of Hollywood movies. Anytime they need a victory ship, they get the Lane Victory because she's always there and she's ready. Beautiful ship. Go check her out. Good question. Hostler Productions said, with 20 US dollars. Thank you. Hi, Mike. I was wondering if you've seen the Netflix series 1899. If so, what did you think of their ship model based off Lusitania design? That is more or less one of the characters. Yeah, it's funny. The ship does become like a character in the end. Without giving too much away, there was one thing I found really funny. So obviously very heavily influenced by the Lusitania and the Mauretania. There was one thing that was so funny where I guess, you know, you've got modelers and 3D animators who are using reference footage to figure out what a ship should look like when it's sailing, and they got stumped by something on the roof of the Lusitania. I won't be able to get it up, but on the roof of the Lusitania, there's a compass platform, and just sticking up out of the deck is a compass binnacle. And if you don't know what a compass binnacle looks like, it's like it looks a little bit, if you didn't know what you were looking at, it might look like a chimney top. And so in this shot of the, was it the Cerberus? No, what are they called? I forget. What are the ships sailing along, the main one? You'll see, keep an eye out, the compass binnacle on the roof, they've got a pall of smoke coming out of it, because I guess the animation team were looking at this thing thinking like, gee, what is that? Is it a chimney? Put some smoke on it, it'll be fine. So the compass is on fire. But yeah, I didn't finish the show, but the ship model was very cool. It gets a little bit cerebral for me, you know. I like Dark, which was their other show, until about like the final season where they started bringing in, again, I don't want to spoil it, but new things were added to the story, and I just kind of couldn't use my brain that much. You know, if you go to, you go away for the week, or like how long? Sorry, you go away for a year. It takes a year for them to make a show. You come back and you have to watch a refresher series on YouTube in order to remember what was going on. That literally introduces you to new characters and things. That is involved. So I don't have that kind of time. Shimmer Wolf Art says, "Hi Mike, love your channel and your Titanic videos. Fueled my hyperfixation for the ship." Sorry about that. Your How Did the Titanic Sink video help me write a paper for med school. Ace the paper too. That's cool. If you're still around, because I'm a little bit behind on my super chats, put it in the comments what your paper was about. That's really interesting. You hear a lot about words are thrown around, watertight bulkheads, watertight compartments, and then doing a little bit of reading, you learn interesting stuff. Like I never knew that the watertight bulkheads on Titanic started at the top at 0.3 of an inch thick and ended up slowly getting thicker until they're at the base in the boiler rooms. They're over half an inch thick because they figured that if the compartment fills up, most of the water pressure will be concentrated at the bottom because, you know, water's quite heavy and water pressure is linear. So the deeper you go, the heavier it's going to be, the more pressure the bulkheads will be under. Interesting little engineering details like that. That's what this channel's all about. So I'm glad that it could help. Thank you very much. I don't want to rush these. I'm trying to get through them as quick as I can, but while also giving them the appropriate amount of time. Superfly Brother says, "I'm exactly as tall as Lusitania's propeller." Did you measure? I assume you went and measured. That's cool. Um, just a little. I don't know if this is rude. I don't know if I can actually say this. This name. I think I can. We'll say it's like a needle prick. Just a little prick says, evidence says that the Titanic wreck was too small to break on the surface. I don't know. Evidence says the Titanic wreck too small to break on the surface. So the wreck site, I assume you mean that the wreck site was not as big. Like the debris field isn't big enough. Like the cone of the debris field, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it looks like a pretty gnarly debris field. You also got to remember, like, a lot of the stuff that's left behind, all that's really left behind, is metal and ceramic and glass. Exactly the kind of stuff that would just kind of like drop to the seafloor instead of like fanning out. Whereas like air crashes, there's a lot of synthetics and plastics that kind of like float away over time, and you get a much bigger debris field. So I feel like with Titanic, if she broke on the surface, which I think she did, then a lot of this stuff spilled out. I mean, it's still a massive debris field. I mean, this is kilometers across. But you got to remember, all the stuff that's left behind is not, it's heavy, basically. So it all would have kind of like fallen relatively straight down. Kaiser Moment, 22 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much. Says opinions on Roblox Oceanliners. I haven't played it yet. I'd like to. I feel like I'm missing out. It sounds like fun. I'll have to get back to you on that. Maybe I'll do it on the Mike Brady channel. It looks like fun. Vestibule's Crush is saying, when's the ship redesign? This always happens. I always forget. Okay. At past in just over 10 minutes, maybe we can do a quick little ship redesign. Come up with some ship names for me. See what you feel like. Peyton Harley, supporter of the channel. Good to see you. Says, Mike, thank you for all you do. Thank you. Question, what is your favorite Indefatigable class battlecruiser? And can we have a video on it? Yes. First of all, I always thought the Royal Navy had the best naming conventions for ships. So let's have a look at these real quick. Indefatigable class. Because the name Indefatigable alone is brilliant. You know what I mean? Maybe they kind of like overstepped with the Invincible class, because I'm fairly certain the Invincible was not invincible. Let's see, because I think, yeah, one of them served with the Australian Navy, right? Was it the Australia? The Australia, yes. Obviously, the Australia. For those wondering, a Royal Navy Indefatigable class battlecruiser served in the Royal Australian Navy and was named creatively the Australia. I'm going to say the Australia. I would do a video on them. I think I want to do a video on the Battle of Jutland and animate the whole thing. Actually, no, Jack, you can animate the whole thing. We'll talk. Captain McCaw says, do you think Britannic could be raised back to the surface given the technology available today? Any known instance of a shipwreck landing on top of a previously sunken shipwreck that you know of? No, not off the top of my head. Gee, that's a good question. Not that I know of. I'll have to think on that. I think maybe like the closest you might get to that, because the ocean's pretty damn big. The closest you might get to that is like Iron Bottom Sound over in the Pacific, where they were just like dumping stuff over the side and like war material and surplus and things like that. And maybe you had like things landing on top of each other there, maybe small craft like boats, but I don't think I've ever seen a ship on top of another ship. It'd be really funny if you were like looking for a lost, treasure ship, like a sunken Spanish treasure ship, and there, sitting on top of its wreck, is the hulk of a World War II transport that was torpedoed. There's just no way of getting to the $6 billion of things of gold underneath. Who have we got here? Davos GLaDOS said, I tried to copy everybody's messages and put them in a notepad document here so I didn't miss out on anything. All I got from you was that explosion was really, and then nothing. So I hope I didn't cut off the rest of your message that you paid for. If I did, I'm very sorry. That explosion was something. Melissa Shepherd gave us $1.50. Thank you very much, Melissa. Appreciate it. Good to have you here. Hope L. What about a hypothetical drawing someday of what the Olympic class would have looked like if Harlan Wolff took inspiration from the Big Four instead of Oceanic for the hull lines? Love you, Mike. Love you too, Hope. That's an interesting one. What about with like the island bridge that they put on some of their other liners? Would have been kind of cool. Yeah, they would have. I think people kind of expected them to look like that. That would have been maybe the next logical step. You know what I mean? Like, they were the previous largest ships in the world. They were the... Yeah. I would love to see the Olympic class with the island bridge. We were talking about this the other day in the Patreon chat, the officers mess, like the benefits of having an island bridge. I don't really know. I think it was all about, like class distinction more than anything. But having read James Bissett complaining about stupid questions from passengers, I don't blame them from wanting to get away as far as possible from the passengers. Why not? Like, they can stay over there. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've just got a photograph up here of the Adriatic, and yeah, you wonder, without the raised forecastle deck, it would have looked a lot different. Yeah, good question. Yeah, that'd be a fun drawing. I want to get back into drawing and do something fun to get back into it. Yeah. Chelsea, you telling me I missed another live stream? Good of you to show up. Good to have you here. That's okay. I know you're busy. Don't worry. Selena, the generous Selena, says, here are your coffees paid for this week with £50. You know how much that is in Australian dollars? I can go and buy a house now. I'd love to hear you talk about the Blitz next time you discuss World War II. There was a lot in it. It's more than just London, Manchester, Coventry, Hull, Bristol, and more. Yeah, Bristol was wrecked like Coventry. My granddad was in Surrey during the Blitz, and then through the V1 attacks. And they were stationed. They were cleaning up from V1 attacks. My dad grew up in Croydon in London, playing in like bombed out ruins in the early 50s. They still hadn't repaired any of this stuff. There were whole neighborhoods that were leveled. Really keen on covering that. I don't know if you guys have seen, I've got a second channel called Time Travels, which I'm a contributor to. It's not my channel. I'm just the talking head, but I help with some of the topics and things. And we actually just did a video that you guys would love. If you love your ocean liners stuff and mysterious disappearances and things, we did a video on this balloon expedition to the North Pole that disappeared for 30 years. And they presume they died, which they had. But 30 years later, this steamer comes across the bodies of these guys. They disappeared in about 1896, 1897. And they find their skeletons intact and all their stuff, and a glass plate negatives from the camera they'd taken, and all the photographs. They'd lived on the ice for months and photographed the entire thing. Very interesting story. I want to cover the Blitz. I did a little bit on the planned German invasion of Britain. I'm a massive World War II nerd, in case you guys couldn't tell. So yes. Very good point. We've got a new member. Sean R. has joined as a swabby. Good to have you aboard. Welcome. We'll see you in the crew muster. Also, Selena said, for the record, the Blitz, the bombs that changed Britain is a fantastic documentary. I'll go check it out. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it. I'll go have a look. Fascinating stuff. It's amazing they still detonate bombs in Europe. They still find them and have to set them off. It's crazy. I was over in Normandy and they found one in a village near me that was like 500 kilogram. What was it? 500 pounds? I think it was 500 kilograms. High explosive bomb that some guy had just under his in his basement. Zephyrus is here. He's a great YouTuber. He says, ooh, the Andre expedition. Yeah. Andre. Yeah, go check out Zephyrus' channel. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining. Yeah, the Andre expedition. You're absolutely dead right. Very interesting story. Zephyrus has covered a topic that I really wanted to do. You did it 4 years ago, but it's one of my favorite things ever, which was the Dreadnought hoax. Is so funny, and such a cool story. Go check out Zephyrus' channel. It's really interesting. Good stuff. Good to have you here. Who else have we got here? Superfly. Superfly brother says, Mike, if you visit the UK, you got to visit Liverpool. I know, right? I live right nearby to Bruce Ismay and Captain Smith's own home. We have a great museum, Titanic's builder's model, and the Lusitania's propeller. Yeah, I figured you were from Liverpool when you said you were the same height. I thought, yeah, you just on your afternoon walk down to the coast, you just compare yourself to Lusitania's, the docks, compare yourself to Lusitania's propeller. That's funny. 5 minutes. 5 minutes until we fix a ship. So prepare yourselves. Prince Eugen. I recognize that name. Have I seen you around before? Prince Eugen. It's been a long time. Friend of the channel says, when are you coming to visit the Midway? Yeah, when I do my big US stint, big trip through the US, I'll come out and say hi. Love to see it. I'd love to get the behind the scenes tour and see all that stuff. Yeah, Midway. Again, yeah, great museum ship. The Americans do museum ships so well. Maybe Queen Mary and United States aside, but I don't know. The warship thing is fascinating. It's just funny that while the Americans figured we could keep these ships and restore them and preserve them for posterity, the British were like, yeah, we don't need them. Scrap them. Alex says, question, did you watch Estonia, the discovery that changes everything? Here in the Nordic countries, that ship sinking was a big deal. Yeah. I would like to do a video on it. It's hard doing, the more recent the disaster, it's funny, the less comfortable I am covering it, which is a little bit hypocritical, I guess. But I'm just nervous doing a video where people, it's still a living memory. And I guess, the Laconia cruise ship fire video, there is a lady still in the UK, Pauline Moore, who was a young woman on board and survived the sinking. And I always cringe a little bit thinking, gee, somebody who was there might watch this, what if I got it wrong, or what if this is offensive in some way? And I don't know. Yeah. But I would love to do a video on it. You're right. The Estonia disaster is tragic and fascinating. Second, what is okay to lift from a shipwreck? Cognac from Titanic. Yeah. I'm kind of like pro salvage. I'm pro like save what you can, because, in a relatively short amount of time, the Titanic will just be like a nice little rust-colored streak on the sea floor. So I think pull up what we can, because, the big piece, for example, will serve now forever as like a, something you can reach out and you can't touch it anymore. But, there's a history that you can see, and it's right there. I'm all for like pulling up things tastefully if you can. Would I have the big piece in Las Vegas? Probably not. Belfast, maybe, where it was built, would be good. But no, yeah. I think we have to salvage what we can. History is really important. And seeing it exactly as it was instead of recreations of it, I think is the way to go. Dan Tanner with $20 say, hey Mike, long time listener, first time caller. Good to have you. Welcome. Had Titanic not sunk and didn't meet another fate in war, what do you think the next famous disaster would have been? Would have been Empress of Ireland, the Eastland, or the General Slocum? Gee, that's a really good point. Again, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where the Titanic had like that perfect combination of factors that resulted in kind of like this hysteria, the fact that it was its maiden voyage. It's really telling that the Empress of Ireland just doesn't have that staying power. I mean, it was a terrible disaster at the time, but it just wasn't that shock. Was it because Titanic had sunk already? I'm not sure. I think it was just more, maritime disasters and ship sinking were not uncommon news. The sea was like, for the longest time, like an unconquered frontier. It's still, the might of the ocean is still irrefutable. But, you had whole steamships disappearing, like the Waratah just gone. And that was kind of like, oh, damn, we lost another one. Like ships went all the time. And there's something about ships being bigger and more people dying that would have been shocking. But I think the Titanic being on its maiden voyage I mean, I wonder, yeah, I often wonder how many of us would even be here right now were it not for the fact that the Titanic sank. I wonder. You know, it's a very cool shipwreck to hate, ironically. But I don't know. I think if I had to pick one, probably the Lusitania, honestly. But that was a little more, you know, political. It happened during wartime. But if were Titanic not to have sunk, it would have been the first modern express transatlantic liner on the Millionaire's Run, basically, that was lost. A 4-stacker. I think that would have been a shock. And I mean, it was a shock, but I wonder if it would have been a bigger shock, or if it would have had the kind of like the romance attached to it that other losses have. The Empress of Ireland didn't sink long enough for the human drama to play out that captures people's imagination, nor did the Eastland. And the General Slocum, I think, wasn't on the same kind of scale. It would have to be the Lusitania. Yeah, I'm going to say Lusitania. Good question. Airwicker says, come visit the Alabama, also the RMS Watermark. I'll see you there. The RMS Watermark. Time for a ship redesign. I have one last super chat from Selena. Selena, you've been so generous tonight. Thank you so much. Oh, you're from Bath. Very cool. My hometown of Bath, they found, I believe, a high explosive under a school. Can't wait for you to talk about the 4,000-pound bomb called Satan that landed in Bristol. Oh, yeah, your great-grandfather was stationed in Bristol. That's pretty wild. They found a high explosive under a school. Oh. I think you see them detonate these all the time. It's like, oh, sorry, guys. I met some German folks on the Queen Mary too, and they're like, hey, yeah, we got cleared out by the police. They're like, hey, really sorry, we've just got another bomb. And it was like the second one in 6 months. So they have to open all their windows so that they don't shatter because of the pressure. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, in Australia, don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Barry says, since you've done an airship animation, I think doing the Wingfoot Air Express incident, a blimp that crashed through the skylight of a bank in Chicago in 1919, would be great to see. What? I haven't heard about this. No way. Really? Let's look this up. That sounds insane. Oh, gee. That's dramatic. Wow. Thank you for introducing me to this story. Isn't that funny? It doesn't matter how much time you spend reading about this stuff, you still learn new things. Thank you, mate. First super chat, and what a way to introduce yourself to the channel. I'm going to read that as soon as I finish this call. That's awesome. Kelly Peck has come up with possibly the best idea of all time. That says, you should call the Photoshop segment Photoship. How did I not think of that? That's brilliant. Any thoughts on time discrepancies in the THG animation? They show the bow flooded at 1:45. Look, I don't really speak much to the minutes and hours of the exact timing of the sinking. I kind of, it was funny, like working on the real-time sinking animation with HFX and Tom and everyone, hearing, Kent Layton, Tad Fitch, and Bill Wormstead working on the timeline is like to the second almost. I kind of don't, function that way. I'm more like around the bits of the construction and some of the the nitty gritty details about the way the things were built and how they broke up. So I can't really speak to that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. What I can say though is that Photoshop is a great idea. Did you guys come up with a Oceanliner redesign, says the Stoned Abbot. Oh, that's a good one. Gee, I'm gonna. You know what? I'll put this up on a on a poll. We'll say Photoshop versus Oceanliner redesigns. That's a good one. Did you guys pick a Photoshop? Did you guys pick a ship yet? I'm gonna read the one more super chat from Bill Fenwick, and then we're gonna draw one. Bill, very generous, $50, says, Mike, love your stuff. Thanks so much. Thank you. I grew up boating with my family on the Great Lakes. in the US and loved your story on the Empress of Ireland. Very cool. You keep making them, we'll keep watching. Oh, I'd love to visit the Great Lakes. It's I mean, the scale of the Great Lakes shocks me. I think we've got anything like that here in Australia, and the fact that you've just got whole ships, you know, operating on the lakes is fascinating. It's like an inland sea. We're lucky. We've got a patron who joined recently. Is a crewman on a Great Lakes ship, which is very, very cool. A big tanker. So I think we see a lot of like behind the scenes stuff now. Very cool. Thank you very much, my friend. That's awesome. Now, I'm going to visit, by the way. I'm going to head up to like the Midwest and go and check out the lakes and everything. It's happening soon. Soonish. What do you guys think? I'm seeing a lot of New Australia. Did we already do the New Australia? I swear we already did the New Australia. William McLeod says, have you heard about the HMY Lolaire disaster? No. Have I? Let me look at this real quick while you guys figure out what I'm doing. The Mauritania? You want me to do Mauritania? What's wrong with the Mauritania? The Second Oceanic? I've not heard of that. Gee, she was carrying 283 men. She was overcrowded. It cost the Isle of Lewis almost the whole of its young male population. Never heard of that. My God. 1919. Oh, man, this tiny, well, you know, beautiful, relatively smallish private yacht carrying, what, like 283 people. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, fascinating story. Thank you. Never heard of that. I'm going to give that a good read. Gee, never heard of it. Wow. We did the Hellenic Prince. Yeah, okay. Moreau Castle, Pasteur. I'm seeing Pasteur a lot, but it might just be the same guy posting it over and over again. But I have always thought that Pasteur was a bit of a ugly duckling. Oh, gee. Yeah, I don't know if I can... I'm not a miracle worker, guys. Is the animated Titanic in the background actually sinking? No, it's just sitting there. Like me. All right, hang on, wait a minute. Let me, I'll fire up Photoshop, and then we'll do something. You guys saying Astoria, one of the Ballin trio. Make Queen Mary 2 traditional. I mean, the Queen Mary 2 is a good one. I was just on the Queen Mary 2. Make Queen Mary 2 traditional. We could maybe take a little look at the Queen Mary 2. I don't want to insult her designer, who I know occasionally tunes in, but she's the most beautiful passenger ship afloat. I don't know if I can fix perfection. You know what I mean? Let's have a look. Hang on, I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to put this here. All right. You know what? I reckon I'm going to do the Queen Mary 2. Let me just change what I'm doing for a second. Just talk amongst yourselves. While I do this screen capture, we're going to... Oh, yeah, there we go. That's perfect. I'm going to put this down here. And I'm going to put me all the way down here. What do you guys think? Queen Mary 2, you happy with that? Sorry, there was like a million suggestions. I can only go with one. Ewan just says no. Mike Brady, why didn't you Photoshop your own drawing? Yeah, maybe. Surely I can get a better picture than that. That's a little low quality, don't you reckon? Let's see. I want to get one from the side because that's what's going to like demonstrate the ship's unique kind of look. I reckon we just roll with this one then. It's a bit low quality, but that'll do for now because we're just playing around. Okay, so here's what we do. Okay, so first of all, we need to make this a little bit... Nope, didn't want that. Sorry. Make this a little bit wider and then kind of like get some more... Whoops. Get some more sky because we're going to be doing some stuff. We're going to be elongating the Queen Mary 2. if you will. All right, hang on. Let's just do this. Play that out a bit more. Yeah, it's fine. So, the Queen Mary 2 has got lines inspired by classic liners. But in the interests of economics, she's got a really tall superstructure with balconies and things. So I think what we need to do is elongate her a little bit. So what we're going to do is, I don't know if we take the bridge front back. Oh, Alexis, what have you done? Why would you tell me to do that? Every time. You guys know what I'm about to do. Never gets old, right? Oh, this is a rough one. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's cursed. That is cursed. That is not nice. Yeah, not a fan of that one. Actually, you know, I think with like a little bit of playing around, you could almost make that work. I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna. Listen, you paid for it, Alexis. You get it. Selena says, Mike turning her into a sausage liner. Okay, sorry. Back to. Listen, we've got a mission. We've got a mission here, right? I don't know if you move the bridge back here, or no, we need to move the bow forward. That's what's going on here. Okay. So we're going to copy and paste the bow. And we're going to put it about there-ish. We're going to take this bit of superstructure and kind of bring it down here. And then get a soft brush. Paint that out. Maybe make this a bit more consistent here, so it looks like it's always just been like that. And now we don't need all these cranes, so we're just going to paint this much out, I guess. Whoops, didn't want to do that. We don't need that. Okay. Good start. Strong start. Just read the comments real quick. Enderman says, I caused this, my bad. Yes, well, you know. Mike, try making it look like a random 70s or 80s liner. Yeah. Well, okay, so I learned something about the Queen Mary 2, which is that this block of towers here is could actually really be a second funnel because it's the incinerators and some other stuff. So I reckon we try and make Queen Mary 2 into a 2-funnel ship. Maybe even a 3-funnel ship, in fact. What's the distance between these here? Could we get a second funnel, a third funnel there? Yes, we're going to make the Queen Mary 2 a 3-funnel ship. All right, here we go. So we're going to take this much of the stern and we're going to make it longer. Like that. Might need to be a little longer yet. I don't know. Then, okay, so we're going to have to take this funnel. This is going to be the special one because it's in the middle of the ship. So it's going to have the nameplate on it. The other ones will not. So we're going to take this funnel and put it here. And then we're going to cut out around the funnel so that we can... You'll see what I'm doing in a second. I'm going to get rid of that. We'll get rid of those. Doesn't matter. Brilliant. And then it'll still have that funnel shroud going up there, so we'll paint this in. But we're going to get rid of the rest of that. So that can go there. And then what we want to do is get rid of everything else that isn't quite funnel red. Maybe put in like a second row of these. And then what we'll do, some visual consistency, just a little bit of shadow. Just make it look nice. There we go. Okay, brilliant. And then what you do is you make this funnel a little bit smaller. So the forward funnel has to be the biggest, the central funnel in the middle, and then the lower, the aftermost funnel, the smallest. So we'll make one bigger and one smaller. And in fact, what I might do as well is just to make this look prettier, is just get rid of this whole thing here. How am I going to do this? There we go. I think this should work. Let me try this out. Let me try this out. Ba, ba, ba. All right, here we go. Cool. And then what we need to do is make that smaller. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Generally, that's kind of what I was going for. And then that one needs to be bigger. About there. It's kind of good. We're going to elongate the stern even more. Can't much more traditional than paddle wheels. What do you reckon? Hang on. Can we put some masts on? Well, let's see. We'll get a paddle wheel steamer. You guys want to see Cursed? I'll show you Cursed. Oh yeah, this is the stuff. Here we go. We'll put this on. Oh, I love this stuff. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Now there. And then obviously this is now in the water, so we'll, whoops. What did I just do? There we go. Sorry. I'll get rid of that much of it. I just see the comments going insane already. This is great. Shade that in a little bit. I can't say Kunawara though. That's no. So get rid of all this. We're under new management, man. Get rid of all that. What are we looking for here? There we go. And then we just get. We want like brand consistency. You know what I mean? Here we go. Very good. Put the Union Jack on the paddle wheel. What do you think, guys? Did we fix it? I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Imagine the kind of paddle wheel you need to move something that big. You know, this is kind of cheating, guys, because you know what? The Queen Mary 2 is already beautiful. The Queen Mary 2 is already an eye-achingly beautiful ship. We're just going to do a little bit more zhuzhing of various structures here. I'm going to put that back. Selena says, it's official we created a monster this time. I can't blame Sam. I still blame Sam. I still blame Sam. I will just find a way. And then I reckon we take the stern out to about there. Maybe put some of these in. Is there anything there? Nope. What do you think? Maybe that goes a little bit higher. Right there. So what is cool about this redesign is not only now is this ship ridiculously long, impractically long, in fact, but this funnel, we haven't actually really done anything to like the machine spaces. The central funnel is where it should be. That is really just masking what is currently there, which is just those towers, which could have been a funnel. In an alternate universe, Queen Mary 2 is actually a 2-funnel ship. What about more lifeboats? Yeah. We'll put more lifeboats on. Sorry, I got distracted. Here we go. It's as easy as this. There we go. Yeah, you're right. We just elongated the ship, added a bunch more passenger accommodations. We should probably put some additional lifeboats in. Yeah, good point. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now, did we fix this already? Someone said flatten the bridge. You reckon? All right. Maybe we can try that. Well, maybe. I don't know actually how to do this elegantly. We'll just literally cut around here, I guess. And we'll just delete this much sky so it kind of like blends together. That's kind of a little bit better. Rake the bridge back. Oh, so it follows the line of the superstructure. That just seems like a recipe for disaster because you're just not going to see as well. I don't know. I don't like that. I like it how it kind of juts out. Don't you reckon? Surely that looks better. It needs to be more streamlined. What needs to be more streamlined? Like, you want to lose some superstructure? We can lose this deck, I think. Whoops, what's going on here? Oh, I need to blend my my layers together here. So we'd go down like a this. No, see, I think it needs to be taller, you know. It needs to be taller. Bow needs to be straight up like the Titanic's. For goodness sake. All right, come on. We'll do it. We'll do it. Technically, the Titanic did have a raked bow, but obviously not as raked as the Queen Mary 2's bow is. Then we continue this forward. Ugh. Do not like. Do not like. My guy ruining Stephen Payne's masterpiece. Yeah, I think this is like the only... the other ones we've legitimately helped. This is like the only one we just have not. What if we like gave her a clip astern while we're at it, just like absolutely ruining this ship? Did I finish that off? Here we go. So cursed. No. It's so bad. We actually ruined it. Oh, it's so poor. It's so poor. Road Weary says, sorry I'm late. Wanted to pop in and say hi. Excellent upload today about the Titanic. Cheers, friend, with a coffee. Thank you, my friend. Here's to you. We need a fourth funnel? What do you mean we need a fourth funnel? Why do we need a fourth funnel? No fourth funnel. I like the stern. I would like more of like a original Queen Mary stern. You know where it kind of like goes outward, so it would kind of be like this. Like that, you know, the traditional cruiser stern. In fact, you know what? I can just cheat and borrow this from elsewhere on the ship. Oh, yeah, nice. Look at that. That's good. And then maybe, you know, maybe we could actually just move this back a little bit more. I don't know that we need all this. Yeah, that looks all right. I am going to maybe like, maybe if we rake it, what was like Queen Mary's rake was about there, hey? Gee, we had the bow working. Now it's really just not working for me at all. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Okay, so I delete that. Okay, that looks better. Get rid of the stepped decks. What, these? No, you gotta have your... Actually, this one, yeah, we don't need this one. That one, that can go. Oh, didn't want to do that. Can I just drag some sky in? White star buff on the funnels. Okay, wait. We'll put that back there. There is a lot of stepping going on here. You are right. I will be honest. Now that we've elongated the ship, we've kind of like absolutely butchered the profile. I don't mind that. That's okay. Selena, one last super chat. It looks like Queen Mary, Normandy, and Titanic had a thing, and this monstrosity came out the other end. For real, funniest thing I've seen in a while. Yeah. Listen, we can't get it right every time, you know. Ugh. It's so poor. I don't know, man. I kind of like it. I feel like I do this every time. I'm sitting there hating it, and then I kind of end up liking it. Do we need... It's still a little blocky at the stern, eh? Like, around here. Maybe we can get rid of that, because we don't need that anymore. Oh! Didn't want to do that. Sorry. Get rid of that. You go away. You go away as well. Yeah. Okay. I mean, technically it's something. I don't know that it's an improvement. Crazy Doctor Who says that looks better. Titanic's bridge? How am I going to give that Titanic's bridge? Like step the forward superstructure down like this. No, that's not gonna work. Wait, hang on. If I had that feathered, maybe if I... It doesn't even really make a difference. You can't really tell, can you? We'll ignore that. What else can I do? Maybe, you know, we kind of like, maybe we can make a little... I don't know, maybe it needs a little bit more, like a prow, you know, like this. Maybe that could... Maybe this is the missing piece, guys. I don't want to call myself a genius or anything, but... I'm gonna paint over the name Queen Mary 2 because we inevitably rename these ships anyway, but I want to do it just to kind of like get some visual consistency here for a minute. Oops, I messed that up. I'm gonna make that go down there. Give it a ram. Give it a ram bow. You, sir, are a lunatic, and I like it. That's awesome. Okay, I mean, that's kind of cool, huh? Delete the last funnel? What do you mean? Why? I like the last funnel. You just want this to be like the Imperator Eagle. Oh my god. You just want this to be like a 2-funnel ship? You can go there. It's not going to work as a 2-funnel ship. It's not going to work. Nah. If we got rid of that middle funnel, this is very rough, obviously. It's too long. It's too long. No, it needs the 3 funnels. You know, for history. Look at that. Come on. You got to say that's kind of nice. Maybe it's the big like Queen Mary 2 block thing here that is making the middle funnel. 3rd funnel is needed. You guys are call it the Mana Expansion Aldegonda 2, says Ewan. We're calling it Johan van Old. Make it one big funnel. Oh, Pasteur style. Yes. Oof. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too big. Oh, it's like the Iberia. Yeah, I like it. There we go. The Cunard Space Program. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call this ship Improved. It kind of, look, it's got traditional lines now. What I'm going to do now is memeify the ship, because I feel like that's the traditional thing that we do on this channel. I'm sorry, Stephen. I hate to do this. This is no longer your ship. This is now. Let's get the font right. We'll go. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go real. Yes, the Hellenic Prince 2. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. And this is no longer Cunard's ship. I'm sorry to deprive you of your flagship. But this is actually the first steamship, the first liner from a very exciting new offering on the cruise ship market. Kitchen Knife line. They're brand new. They're an up-and-coming cruise company. If you haven't sailed Kitchen Knife line, really recommend it. Oh, there's another Cunard. Did I tell you guys I got 2 hours of sleep last night? Is it showing? Woo! All right, hang on, wait a minute. Where are we going? Okay, we'll put that one there. Kitchen Knife line. Whoa, didn't want to do that. Come on, just copy. Move it on up, move it on up. There we go. Well, the computer hates it so much it's decided to delete itself. I kind of like it, not gonna lie. I mean, it's a little bit cursed. I don't know, maybe this funnel does need to be a little bit smaller. Maybe you're right. Maybe the funnels are a little too big. Is that better? Maybe. I present to you the Hellenic Prince 2. Ewan, the bedtimeic. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know what that is. It's just when it goes into full screen mode, it doesn't like it. Behold, our beautiful, beautiful creation. as always, you can't totally blame me because I was following your instructions, audience. And this is what we ended up with. And to be honest, I don't hate it. The meme stuff aside, the Hellenic prince and the whatever, I did like it better with the original. Gee, Louise, come on. I like it without that. Or do I? I don't know. That's a little more traditional. I like the maybe somewhere in between those two bow types. You know, maybe we can just give it like a slight. I don't know. I'm just messing around with it now. Maybe that's a little bit better. I hate that it's good. Level the top deck. Oh yeah, good point. Okay, all right. We'll do this one last thing, but then I have to go to bed. It was as simple as that. I think we just wiped out the bridge. Sorry, guys. We'll put some more windows in there, I guess. Ugh, awkward. Okay, at least now they're all on the same level. I think that the funnel here could be maybe a little bit bigger now. Yeah. I think that's good. Okay. I'm going to go now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. This has been a... Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna leave you with the Hellenic Prince 2. I'm gonna leave you with these. I can't stop watching this. How beautiful is this? Look at the water. It looks real. Oh, man. Keep your eyes peeled for the Laconia video. It's coming out soon. This is going to be magnificent. And Jack, very excited to be working with you. As always, stay safe and stay happy, you guys. Next time we'll... I'm going to do these a little more regular. I feel like I say this every time. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks so much for all your generous super chats. I hope I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Lovely talking with you. Always a blast. You guys always make me laugh. We'll talk again soon. I'm going to do this again just in a couple weeks. Until then, though, keep an eye out. I hope you've enjoyed the Kitchen Knife 2. Or the Hellenic Prince 2. Good night. Good to see you all. See you again soon. Bye-bye.